Good morning. Thank you. We did have a little bit of a change of plans this morning, but I want to thank you all for being here today. I realize it's early and you probably have other things to do, so we'll move right along. I want to start this morning by grounding us here in this place. We met here a year ago. Outside, there were still piles of snow as we'd witnessed the greatest snowpack in recorded history. But we knew that despite the big winter, we still faced a tremendous challenge. The Great Salt Lake was at a disastrous low, and this seemed just the latest threat in a long stream of woes from mega droughts to mega fires. But as we gathered here in this room, rain fell outside. We outlined the problem, and the people here found a ray of hope. Summit Land Conservancy's work to save the farm and ranch land in the Wasatch Back addresses the compounded problems that we face as a society. Each acre we save protects a portion of the whole. Excuse me. Each acre provides a home for some critter, some tree, or some flower. And each acre has its unique way of warming to the sun or holding a drop of rain. We committed ourselves last year to protecting more land and protecting it faster through our For the Future Fund, because we're short on time. And the more we can save now, the better chance we have of learning how to live here as if we belong to this place, as if we hold it as stewards for our fellow creatures and for the future. Thanks to individual gifts to our For the Future Fund and support from the state of Utah, Park City, Heber City, Summit County, the U.S. Department of Agriculture, and generous landowners, we saved over 1,400 acres on 6 separate properties in 2023. 3 of them are pictured here. Your gifts to our For the Future Fund make conservation possible. This represents a project budget for a farm in the Camas Meadow that we saved earlier in 2024. We received 50% of the funding from the federal government, a significant and generous donation from the landowners, and a grant from Summit County's Open Space Bond. But as you can see, there was still a $150,000 gap. This is where gifts from individuals make the difference. Each dollar from an individual was leveraged 20 times. We can stretch your money, and we can't do this without you. Our partners in the federal government realize that they don't have enough staff to get all the money that Congress has allocated out onto the ground. So they created the certified entity status to acknowledge some of their most effective partners. With Summit Land Conservancy's track record of getting deals done, our status as an accredited land trust, and our excellent stewardship program, the federal government designated us as a certified entity in July of 2023. This means that we can access federal dollars more quickly and save more land. We are one of only 34 land trusts with this special status across the nation. Thank you. And it gets better. The Camas Meadow is a critical aquifer for northern Utah. Water and snow fall on the Uinta Mountains, melt through the rocks, and resurge through seeps, springs, and creeks across the Camas Valley. The unique geology here filters water, sequesters carbon, and provides drinking water for us here in Park City and across northern Utah. Summit Land Conservancy successfully petitioned the state conservationist to designate this landscape for enhanced conservation. As an area of special concern, properties in the Camas Meadow are now eligible to receive more federal dollars, and the government will pay a higher percentage of the easement value, leveraging our local dollars even further. And then we received a $22.4 million grant to save this landscape. Last year, I showed you this map. And I said we had many landowners who were committed to conservation, and I pointed to this red parcel, a 4,200-acre ranch in Echo Canyon. We'd submitted applications for federal funding for 5 years in a row, and finally received notice that it was funded in 2023. But let me show you where we are now. This is the watershed for the Great Salt Lake and the area we work to preserve. As of a year ago, we'd conserved 2 properties in the Morgan and Huntsville areas. Today, we've received federal awards to protect an additional 6,000 acres here. And with our partners at Ogden Valley Land Trust, we'll add 1,000 more acres to that total. In North Summit County, near Colville, we preserved over 900 acres last year. And we were awarded funding on additional 6,000 acres. But look at the great swaths of blue here, representing more landowners who want to save their ranches. In the Camas Valley, we've already completed 2 projects in the last 24 months, and we have funding for 3 more. And again, there are more blue sprouts. We use the term sprouts instead of pipeline. And finally, in Park City, we added 481 acres to the 105 already conserved on Iron Mountain last year. And this year, we hope to put an easement on Treasure Hill above Old Town. In total, we have 15,000 acres funded to close in the next 2 years, and another 12,000 acres of landowners hoping to follow suit. We are saving land, and we are saving it faster. When we launched this campaign a year ago, we knew that the problems facing the Great Salt Lake are too big for one individual or one organization to solve alone. Recognizing that you can't build a bridge without a firm foundation on each side of the river, we committed to a different approach, to reach out to people who don't want to be like Park City, to talk to legislators who might be from different parties, to put aside the things that separate us and find the underlying bedrock that connects us to this place and to each other. That's where we find the footings to anchor our bridges. And it's working. I was in Washington, D.C. just a couple weeks ago. Unlike previous visits, where once people learned I was from Park City, it became difficult to get a meeting. This time, we met with Congressman Blake Moore, Congressman John Curtis, Senator Mitt Romney, and the offices of the 3 other members of Utah's congressional delegation. Our elected officials from the Wasatch Back recognize Summit Land Conservancy's efforts to protect this watershed. We see more cooperation for our efforts and more agreement with our methodology. They're even willing to wear our hats. The launch of the Utah Headwaters Initiative coincided with the federal government's bipartisan approval of increased funding for the Farm Bill programs that we use to save land. Before the Inflation Reduction Act, there was generally about $500 million for these programs over a 5-year period. Now, there is $19 billion available. Summit Land Conservancy, accredited, certified, with seasoned staff, dedicated landowners, and community support, is well positioned to bring a significant amount of that funding to save land here on the Wasatch Back. Our initial budget for the initiative was $15 million in federal funding. Over the course of 2023 alone, we've been awarded over $46 million. These are just a few of the places we can save, but federal dollars are only a part of the picture. We must always find additional partners. Today, I'm pleased to announce that the Conservancy has received a $1 million pledge to our For the Future Fund. The family making this, that's a good thing, yes. The family making this gift wishes to remain anonymous, but I wanted to share some photos of the land that inspired their gift and their thoughts.
We first learned about the Summit Land Conservancy several years ago when there was an effort to raise funds to preserve one of our favorite neighborhood hiking spots. Since then, we have supported several other initiatives to preserve land. We've been so grateful that the broader community supports these efforts, but know that they would not happen without the leadership, tenacity, and creativity of Cheryl and the Summit Land Conservancy team. As we look forward, we are particularly excited to support the For the Future campaign, as nothing could be more important to our region than preserving both land and water.
We are grateful for each and every gift. At the start of this campaign last year, we'd raised about $7 million of our $100 million goal. As we said then, there's no silent phase for this campaign. We don't have time to work quietly. So now, with increased funding from federal programs, with incredible generosity from our landowners and our community, with support from all sides of the aisle, I'm thrilled to announce that we have secured over $59 million in just 1 year. I've been spending a lot of time with my mom lately, which means I go to ball games and church. I was at church on Palm Sunday, which is the day that Jesus went into Jerusalem and all the people came out cheering for him. What I learned on Palm Sunday was that the cheer, Hosanna, means save us. The people of Jerusalem were expecting a savior who would overthrow the Roman power and set up a new government that would center them rather than the Romans. They were expecting a technical change, substituting one king for another, and not adaptive change, which threw out the throne altogether. They were thinking about money and laws, not about their souls. This conversation today isn't meant to be about religion, but rather who or what we expect to save us from the disaster that would result from the destruction of the Great Salt Lake. We like to hope that an external force will be our salvation. Maybe the governor, maybe some other powerful official. Hosanna, we cry, save us, save us. But our problems here require adaptive change, not just a change of who sits in the big chair. And more to the point, our democracy was founded on the principle that people who sit in big chairs shouldn't be the ones in charge. We're in charge, each of us, as citizens of a republic and as people of this time and this place. We who love this land and cherish this watershed. We are the ones with the authority, the agency, and the ability to make adaptive change. Adaptive change is often about perception. As we delve into the reasons why the Great Salt Lake is drying up, we begin to see that the lake is not just a salty body of water surrounded by mountains down in the valley. We'll recognize the lake in the snow outside this window, in the water in your glass or coffee cup. And as we drink, we might be reminded that we too are part of the mountain and part of the lake. A couple of years ago, in partnership with the Ogden Valley Land Trust, federal funding, and two amazingly generous landowners, we saved the former monastery property near Huntsville. For 70 years, the monks farmed that ground. Their work, they said, was an act of devotion, feeding chickens, mucking out barns, moving irrigation pipe, small, tedious, daily chores. I know that when we look at these big problems with deep roots like a cancer into the flesh of our society, it's hard to imagine that the single gallon I save when I turn off the water while brushing my teeth makes any difference at all. But acts of devotion are not measured in gallons or dollars. Every time we turn off the tap, buy produce from a local farmer, ride a bike instead of a car, these are our acts of devotion, of faith, of salvation. We have made so much progress in the first year of the For the Future Fund. We have crossed bridges to find new friends and rediscovered some old ones. Many of you have joined with us, and you have saved land. I hope you'll see how far we've come in just this 1 year. I hope you'll recognize how your gifts allow us to access federal dollars and that you will reach deep. Because we have a great moment right now, and we need you. Your donations and pledges can be doubled this morning, thanks to a matching grant of $50,000 from the George S. and Dolores Story Eccles Foundation. So please take a minute to fill out the form in the brochure on your tables. Let's build this bridge and cross it together.